work on enabling people rather than providing them. Because if you keep providing them, that's what they're used to. They'll always be asking for it. But if you enable them to provide for themselves, that's when you can actually create a revolutionary change. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wiser Together. This is your host, Parmeet Kumar, with your co host, Anas Pasha. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and being a part of this. Support us in any way you can. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll pass on to Anas to introduce our guest for today.
Thank you, Parmeet. Hey guys, hope everyone is doing well. Today we're joined by a very special person. Her name is Hira Zainab, hailing from Karachi, Pakistan. By profession, she is an HR lead at a phenomenal startup in Pakistan. She is also an entrepreneur doing a sort of a women's jewelry brand. And we're going to link that up in our description as well. Check it out. The name is Regia. She's a social activist, and the way that I know her was through one of her foundations, First Hand Foundation. We worked together, we collaborated together, and I've had the pleasure of working with her. And the event that we worked together, we're going to talk about that. Turned out to be very nice, very positive for the community. So I'm going to pass the floor now to Hera to tell us a little bit about herself as well. Over to you, Hera. Yes. How are you?
Hi,
So
Anas.
nice to see
Hi,
you.
Purneet. Good. How are you guys? It's really nice to see you after a long, long,
Yes, it's
long
Likewise.
it's
time.
just it feels like it's been ages, and we were talking about this thing before the start of the podcast, just warming up, like how long and it has been, and how time flies. And but I'm very happy. The last time that we
Yeah,
interacted,
yeah,
it was for a good cause. It was hard. It was messy, but we got it done.
yeah,
And the thing that I'm talking about is the seminar that
yeah.
we did at our university, that we went together, Institute of Business Management. We did the first ever mental health seminar. Both of us were just recalling how difficult it was, because there's always a lot of bureaucracy. You want to get something done, but it's always that this channel, you need to take permission from here, you need to take permission from there. And although it is for the good cause, but there's no problem taking permission, but it's just that when there are a lot of entities involved, then you dilute the purpose of the event. So, what do you recall about the event? What sort of feeling did it leave with you, having to do the first ever seminar at one of the biggest universities in Pakistan?
Do you guys also want to give a brief background of what the event was so people
Uh,
are on the same
Sure,
page?
sure. Hira, go ahead.
sure. Well, the event was about mental health awareness seminar. So I remember we somehow got connected through our like
Hmm.
social platform. Sanas posted on a group saying that he's determined to organize a seminar in our university, and he's just struggling with some issues there, and from one person to another. So you go to this second person for way forward, and they pass you on to the third person. So it was like a never ending cycle. So we somehow just got connected. My friends were tagging me in that post, okay, oh Hira, you need to check it out, because I was looking for the same thing as well. So I was like, oh wow, this is exciting, probably we are able to get this done. So I remember that's how we got connected, and I messaged you like, hey, I'm looking for the same thing as well, and maybe we can do this together. And so you were
Yes.
also like super excited, and then we started talking about it, and we were like, no, we are gonna get this done. Why? And so I told you, that I've held a similar sort of seminar in like some other institutes as well, and it went pretty smooth. So we followed the
Oh,
same
I
pattern.
think I believe,
So
before you continue, I really want to mention this, because I did attend one of your seminars at another university in Zabis, which you were a part of in the panel. And I saw the
yeah,
way that you spoke and the way that you were,
yeah,
because listen, like here you are as a student, you were sitting with some of the best psychologists in Karachi, and you were dealing with questions and answering them in a very technical
yeah,
manner. So that was amazing, and that is the encouragement I got, because
yeah.
I was not an expert. I still am not an expert, and we would love to talk to you about these things. But the way that you dealt with them really gave me a lot of support to have someone like you on board. And through our partnership, yeah, we were able to pull off an amazing event.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's very sweet of you, Anas. But the only reason that we were able to get this done is because you were equally passionate about it. Because it wasn't possible for me to single-handedly manage or in all the politics going on in the university, and there were like
Yes,
a lot of issues to deal with and whatnot, so I wasn't able to handle all that alone. So thanks to you as well, because you have played a major role in organizing the event, executing it, handling all the logistical issues, and so yeah, I guess it's
teamwork,
a teamwork
teamwork.
after all. And yeah, so I remember we followed the same pattern. Um, we invited some of the survivors, or people who firsthand have experienced with mental health issues. Could be anything, depression, anxiety. I remember there was this one girl. She was schizophrenic, and she was so vocal, she was so brave to face an audience
Mm,
of 200 people
yes.
in the auditorium and talk about her story, her struggles. It's People usually undermine this, this is
Yeah,
extremely commendable, this is extremely brave, it's not easy. People call it, okay, you know what, this person is just trying to get some attention, this person is just trying to get in the limelight. Attention for what? A person is literally being an open book in front of you, and telling about their insecurities, telling you about how they feel in the middle of the night when there's no one around, how dark it is, and they're being so
yeah,
vulnerable. And I just hate it when people pass such hate comments that no, this, no, she or he is just trying to get some attention. No, he's just, she's just like that. Let her be, let him be. This is this is not okay. I guess this is the stigma that we need to break, and this is what we
Yes,
did that day, actually, Anas, because I remember then she was like, when she talked about it, and she said, okay, I can see like two people in the audience are laughing at me, but then there are 10 people who are
absolutely.
clapping and applauding for me. So if you have, like, if you're in a room full of people, if there are 10 people who are laughing at you, there are probably 20 to 30 people, like twice the number, um, who are actually, supporting you, who are actually not just listening to you, but hearing you, making you feel heard, making you feel seen and valued. And that's what, a lot of people, we don't get
True,
that
and
easily in life.
one more thing
We
that
need
we
that.
did that we really loved, and this was your idea, was that we collected these anonymous chits. So a lot of people that we know might not be able to raise their questions because, again, because of the stigma that you talked about, or
Yeah.
embarrassment, or whatever the reason. So they wrote down their questions for the our experts or our psychologists. And one thing that I really loved about was that those questions, and for me, like, this was so nice to see, because we talk about friends and support, right? Their questions were not geared towards themselves but were towards their friends. Like,
mm,
my friend is going through this, how do I help her? Yeah,
You
yeah,
are
exactly. Like,
surprised.
how do I
Yeah.
help her? Okay, this happened to them. And they were very, like, trivial questions as well. One was about breakup as well, like relationship as well. And of course there were some personal levels as well. Of course, it's a university, there are students, and Pakistan can be a closed up society, but I
Yeah,
yeah,
people deal with all
absolutely.
sorts of issues. I mean, we're human beings. It's very natural to feel sad after a breakup. It's very natural to feel sad or to grieve loss one way or the other. And I think it's okay to feel that way. And those anonymous chits, like, they played their role, and people, you see, we got like a quite a
Yes,
big
yes,
chunk of those
yes.
chits, I remember.
There were a lot.
it's quite commendable. Like, when I was in university, I didn't even know much about mental health. So you guys kind of saw that and wanted to, put an effort to raise awareness for it, to help people realize that this issue is there, it exists, and eventually at some point in your life you will have to face it and then eventually overcome it. And then not only that, you guys went ahead and
Yeah.
organized events and uh, seminars and all that, which is absolutely commendable. Given that you did that in Pakistan, of all the places, that it's just like judging is in our Pakistani blood. I'm sorry to say I'm very critical of myself and my land and my blood. So I think that's where you start. If you have a problem, that's you start by criticizing and then understanding the problem, accepting it, and then going towards solutions. So Pakistan is a place where, like, you think about anything, good or bad, judgment is gonna come. If someone's doing something good as well, now they'll
Yeah.
find a way to turn it around. Dude, doing it for attention, doing it for this, doing it
Yeah.
for that. Like it's
So for me, what you for like good like 5 6 years to my journey in running my NGO, this is what I heard, that she is just
yeah,
doing
that's
it
what
for
I'm saying. Like
attention.
people have a
She's
way to
running an
turn it
NGO
around.
for attention.
So
Yeah, yeah. So I completely
yeah,
agree
kudos
what
to
you're
you guys
saying.
for
Yeah,
that.
100%. It's sad
I
that
want to ask, like, we were having a conversation before this briefly, and I was asking you about First Hand Foundation, which is an NGO that you founded and run and have been doing that since 11 years, which is a very long time. You started that at the age of 17, when I didn't even know what NGO was at the age of
yep.
17. So you started an NGO. So please tell us about what this NGO. Please tell us what this NGO is about, and also tell us how did you come about to start an NGO at the age of 17, which is highly, highly, highly commendable.
Okay, there is a story. So, my dad was in the US for one of his
Hmm.
projects, I believe. And so, my dad's a journalist and
Oh,
he
wow.
used to
Oh,
like
nice,
travel
interesting.
often. He used to travel a lot. Yeah. And this is like, wow. So, he gets to travel a lot and he gets to, like, meet different diversified people, and I guess everything that I am today, it's just a learning that he passed
Beautiful.
on to me. And well, because honestly, I guess we have to give that
For
credit to
sure.
our parents somehow, that despite of living in such a suppressed society, they raised us in a way that wasn't according
Hmm.
to their times. They realized the fact that these times are different, and so our children are going to be different, and then 10 years from now on, like that generation is going to be different. So we say a lot of things about, oh, Gen Z is like that, Gen Z is like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of the generations. People just
Yeah,
have different struggles, and people just have, like,
different environment.
different priorities. Like, it's the environment, and for certain reasons you have to be vocal about that. What people do not like about Gen Z is like, oh, they're so vocal, they're so like, which
Hmm.
is a great
Absolutely.
thing. They're like, destroying our culture. So I'm like, thank God our culture is toxic, that needs to be destroyed by someone. So if some our generation is putting that effort, I guess we need to be grateful to them. But yes, moving back to my NGO thing that you asked. um, so my dad was in the US for one of his projects, and so I remember Facebook chats
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
one of the mediums
Absolutely.
through which I would, communicate. Yeah, Messenger was a thing back then. So I was just like, hi Abba, how are you? So he'd be like, yes, great. So I don't know. I was during those times, I would often question my own privilege. Like, what have I done to receive such a blessed life? I have roof under my head, I have food on my plate, I have everything that is required for a good life. And I'm truly grateful for that. But yes, of course, I do question it, because this is by default. It's by luck that, I was born in a family like this, that they were
Hmm.
able to provide me
Privilege,
all
yeah.
the luxuries. I got good education, I have good clothes to wear, I have everything, all the boxes are checked. So, this privilege, I didn't do anything exceptional to deserve this,
Yeah.
right? And what this another kid who's sleeping on, like, on a footpath has done to not deserve the same sort of a
Hmm.
lifestyle. So I would, like, often question this thing. And it used to bug me a lot because I was like, that why is this disbalance? Who has created this sort of a disbalance in our
That's
society?
so profound.
Of course, we talk about all sorts
Yeah.
of capitalism. We talk about, but that's just how the world
Hmm.
operates. No, there has to be businesses because this cannot be like a socialist society. We're not living back in the times. I don't know,
Yes.
1400 years ago when, people would talk about a socialist society where people would give, the art of giving was literally like this. Okay, yes, you
Yeah.
need this, you take it, you take it, you take it. It cannot happen
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
anymore. And so that was one thing that, it used to bug me. So I don't know, I just thought randomly to myself that if I don't like it, why don't I
Correct.
change it? So I was like, how do I change it? So then I got to know about these NGOs, okay, because I used to follow Abdul
Yeah.
Satari
Yeah.
B a lot because he's one of my life
Absolutely.
inspirations. I guess he was an angel in the form
Yeah.
of a human being, and he wouldn't ask you what religion you belong to. He wouldn't ask you what caste you belong to. He wouldn't ask you about all these human created differences. Rather, he would just see you as a human being, and he'll
We
be the
really
first
need
one
more
to
people
help you
like him.
or get you out of that situation. We do, and it's sad that we barely have any because I don't think there can be another
Yeah.
ED. There can be like many, I don't know, Hiras out there. There can be many Zainabs out there, but I don't think there can be any
I
other
think
ED
we'll be
because
about
he
to
was
say this
a
about you
phenomenal
10,
human
20,
being.
30, 20 years
Inshallah.
from now as
Yes.
well.
For
That
sure.
Hira did put in the work. Because think about it, right? At the age of 17, you had this epiphany that you're privileged without having done anything, and there's people on the street who, why aren't they receiving the same thing? So did this foundation sort of come about from the epiphany that you needed to justify this privilege that you have and sort of lend a hand to provide the same kind of privilege to people around you or people out in the society in any way you can, small or big ways? Was it sort of a justification for the privilege you
I
have?
can't say that maybe. I guess it all started with the
Yeah,
guilt.
and then yeah, and you justify.
If I'm able to
Yeah.
put it
Yeah,
correctly.
and that makes sense.
Yeah, if I'm able to put it correctly, that, guilt of
Yeah,
being too privileged for no reason. I didn't sign up for this. I was just
I
born in a family that was able to provide for
I
me, and
go
that's
through
it.
this as well, and it's quite interesting how this came up, which is so random because I'm grateful, I'm blessed, I'm quite privileged as
But
well,
no,
and
that's true. I
I was
mean,
given everything I ever wanted in my life as well, and
exactly.
I also felt like, why do I have this privilege? Like, why do I have this life? What have I done? So, in order to match that privilege that I received, I had to put in enough work, right? And that's my justification for it. I don't deserve all this. I haven't put in the work, and that's why, like, I'm in the process of, justifying that in different ways that I do. But it's crazy that you did it at the age of 17. I'm 26, 27 next month. You did it at 17, which is because I didn't even know like mental health and all that stuff like didn't exist back in the day and at the age of 17. So quite commendable what you how you did that, and obviously starting and
I guess
there's so many things that go into it. So as of now, like in the 11 years of journey of First Hand Foundation, are you sort of helping people in any way? Like you deal with it issue per issue, or do you focus on a specific issue and then find problems in society and then try to rectify that?
Well, I do try to continue that permit because that is something that keeps me closer to my purpose. I believe every
Yeah,
person is born with a purpose in this world. Every single person has been sent on this planet
I agree. You just
with a
need to find
purpose.
it and then live it.
I
You just
truly
need to
believe
find it and
that.
live it. Yeah.
You just need to find it. I was in grade six when I read The Alchemist for
Follow
the
Kello.
first time, and I didn't quietly
Follow. Yeah, yeah,
understand it.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Follow, follow. Yeah, so I didn't quietly understand it. I was like, okay, hey, white horse, this, what is happening? Okay, this is coming, kya hai? What is like this universe conspiring against me or for me? You know, it's very difficult to understand at that age. But as I grew older now, so I began to realize that okay, they're talking about a
Hmm.
purpose in life. So I was like, okay, what's my purpose in life? And I was
So,
blank.
what is your
I was like,
purpose?
oh
What is
no,
your purpose?
shit,
If you
I do
have
not
one.
know. My purpose is to bridge the gap that I guess society or we have created
Mm-hmm.
because we are society. So we have created, and my purpose is to, I don't know, make every person feel at home. Whoever I meet, whoever I influence, I want that to be an
That
It's
is
so
everlasting
beautiful.
interesting
impact.
to hear
I want
this.
to touch lives. I
M-
want to, you know,
Most people, yeah,
talk to people. I want to know people. I want to interact with people. I want to feel their pain so that I can somehow make it better. And I want to connect with people. And even if I'm able to influence just
that's how
one
you think.
life,
Very
I guess,
interesting. Most people I've spoken to
yeah.
about purpose and who've actually done the work to, find it and put in the time and work to go through that journey of self-discovery and questioning again and again, going through and up
Yeah.
and down. And if they found that purpose, most people I've spoken to, their purpose comes down to just one word, which is service. Service to the society, service to yourself, people around you. And that goes to show you like that's what we're here for. We're here to live in harmony with each other, make sure be compassionate, be kind, be empathetic. And I don't know, during this time, through politics and religious differences and cultural differences and intolerant society that we've become, we've created so much,
No,
like we're
like
so far from it.
this saying, because I was hearing you guys talk about privilege and how you guys have recognized that you have privilege. So it reminds me, what Spider-Man, in the movie, Spider-Man's uncle says, "May he rest in peace." He dies. So
Yeah,
what he says is, with great powers comes great responsibilities. And I believe,
Yeah.
apart from a
Yeah.
privileged life in terms of materialistic things, the knowledge that we have, the awareness that we have, that is absolutely like the best treasure that we can depart, that we can share with people. So Parmeet and I, together with some of our friends, have also
Mm-hmm.
started like a small sort of a setup of an organization,
yeah,
like something that we're trying to do. And our main focus has been on education. We try not to deal with anything else apart
Wow,
from
that's
education,
great. That's great.
because we know that education does wonders for everyone. Education can take a person out of darkness, out of obscurity, and into the light, not only for themselves but for other people as well.
yeah. Just to expand a little bit on that,
I think that's the first
100%.
step. That's precisely that's
Yeah,
literally the first step. Because slowly and gradually you move towards it. Once once I was, watching one of the podcasts and it said that people fear, and the government or people who are in power, they fear people, learned people. They do not fear a
Yes,
sword. They do not fear like any violence because they love to create that chaos. They love to
yeah,
create violence. They fear a pen and a paper and a person who can work his way around with that pen and paper. If a person knows how to read, if a person knows how to write, he can
that is
change the
yeah.
what
That
history,
comes.
was the
can't
big
he?
thing.
He
That
can
was the big
literally
thing.
turn if I were a historian and if I were given the opportunity to write something, I wouldn't sugarcoat anything. I was like, yeah, they were like really
Correct.
bad. This is what they did. This is what was happening. I would literally expose
Yeah,
the
I
shit out
mean,
of them.
only the
So
winners
that's what
write
they
history. It has
precisely
always been
fear.
like
They
this.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation as well. Like when we were coming up with this
Yes. Exactly.
organization and laying up the foundation and groundwork for it, we had decided to focus on one issue because then if we focus on one issue and move in a straight line, that's when we can cover the most amount of distance, as opposed to And that was just our ideology. Any kind of help in any regard is good and helpful. So we were having this conversation where we were initially we were gonna provide food and other supplies to poor people on the streets during Eid, and we had to kind of draw a line, and we discussed that we want to work on enabling people rather than providing them, because if you keep providing them, that's what they're used to, they'll always be asking for it. But if you enable them to provide for themselves, that's when you can actually create a revolutionary change.
You have to think about this in a more
Yeah.
Yeah.
sustainable way. Yeah.
So it's called Friends Welfare Organization. Soon we're going to open our doors to the public as well,
Yes.
so everybody can contribute and amplify. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you very much. This
Congratulations.
was
It's
actually Anus's brainchild, and
Mm, uh,
That's
it's
that's
it's
great. That's great. I
again, it's
believe.
just about being in the
Absolutely.
presence of great people like you. I saw because your organization also had or I think it still is, having a WhatsApp group that has lots of people, like so many people in that group, and they are all having the same mindset. They're very tolerant, very disciplined, very humble, very nice people who are open to listen to other people's struggle, other people's vulnerabilities. And I was blown away. I was telling Parmeet about this before we started, that like it was just so amazing to see how both men and women were sharing these things, and how other people were there at whatever time of the day. You can see the timestamps. It's
I couldn't believe it when Anus told me. In
Yeah,
Pakistan, like
because
it's unheard of.
she was able to, like the Avengers. She was able to assemble a team of a group of a
Create that
community.
environment.
Absolutely, like 50, 60, 70 people that she knew, yeah, right? Or the other people knew that would have the same thing and would like have a positive influence. So it's just like, being in the presence of great people, being in the presence of visionaries, that you're able to do these things. I Speaking of great people, you mentioned your father being a journalist, and that your father departing a lot of things to you. And I really love to hear about father and like daughter relationship, because um, especially in a country like Pakistan, because usually what I've seen is that there aren't many. There aren't many like fathers do not take that much interest in their children's life, and so on and so forth. But I wanted to ask, you mentioned that your father is a journalist, which by the way is so cool. Maybe we can have him someday. You'll have so many things to share. But uh,
Sure,
but
sure,
what
sure.
but
Why
how
not?
would you describe your father as a man? Now the context that I want to give is that me being as a man, I recently started opening up about my vulnerabilities, about the things that would trigger me, about things that like would make me feel a certain way. And I wish I had that ability sooner, because then would have answered a lot of questions. So your father, what sort of a man do you describe him as? Is he someone that is just able to express himself very clearly, very openly? And is that something that like you picked up from him? And because the way that you are is quite open, quite bold. You do not I've seen firsthand, pun intended, First Hand Foundation, so I've seen firsthand that you have like spoken so boldly, so openly about these things, and not only stood up for yourself but for your friends as well. So about your father.
Okay. Oh gosh, Ines, this is something gonna make me cry. But yeah, speaking of Abba, I guess a lot of people speak very differently about their fathers. That, oh, my dad is very strict. My dad is this. My dad doesn't, let me work, or different sort of stories that we hear every day. But I guess the biggest gift that my father could ever give me was that he let me be. He didn't
Hmm.
stop me. He didn't try to control me. He didn't try to influence me in a way that he wanted me to be influenced. He didn't want me to, live my life according to him. The biggest gift, I guess he could ever give me was that he just let me be and accepted me for who I am.
And that's why you're able to
And
do such amazing things.
he never
I think,
told.
you know.
Yeah, I guess, because I guess this compassion and kindness is something that I have learned from him. When my grandfather passed away, so my father started this memorial services by providing scholarships to kids who could not
Beautiful.
afford. Uh, because my grandfather was a really talented and he was a sports
Oh wow,
person. At
talent
the same
runs in the
time, he was
family.
also a teacher.
Which
Yeah, well, you
sport?
can say
I'm
that.
just curious.
But so he was like a really good,
Okay.
table tennis and badminton player. So he would love to, play that. But at the same time, he was
Hmm.
a teacher. He loved teaching kids. He loved, spreading more awareness, and he said that
Yes.
education is the
Agreed.
way.
Agreed.
There is no other way. There is no other way. Every kid has to be
100%.
educated, and a person who knows is better than a person who doesn't know. And I guess the same ideology was followed by my father, because he wasn't one of and never in my times of university when I would hear girls gossiping and talking about that, oh, my our parents want us to get married at an early age, our parents want to wed us off and all. My father would never talk about this. My father would talk about, okay, tell me about your career
Hmm.
aspirations,
He
tell
talked
me
about
what do you want to do
ideas.
in life, tell me how do you want to talked about ideas, and he always talked about things that matter. He wanted me to be a better version of myself, just how I would want to be. I mean, for example, just see, I would see all these rants coming on social media about some girls saying that, oh, my father is so much against Aurat March. He was telling me that not to go here. It's a bad platform. They're spreading so much negativity. They're doing this. And my father was the one who would go and drop me there. And he was like, oh, why don't you take your mom? Why don't you take your puppo? Why don't you take, other people along with you? And he recommended that, I should also take one of our house helpers there as well, so that, they get to know about their rights. They get to know that, how extremely important it is for every person to know what their rights are. You know, religiously, as
Totally. Yeah.
well as what is
Yeah.
permitted by the
I mean,
law.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful how
Yeah.
your father has
So I
been
guess
able to empower you with these things, and like as a result of that empowerment, like we see
yeah,
you here doing so many wonderful things. I just have like one personal question that I have for you, and seeing as to how I see you in a very knowledgeable light, and I see you as an expert. So I don't know if other people would agree, because of course there is always this thing about having a degree and yada yada yada. But as an advice that you could
yeah.
give for men this at this time, because I personally see that a lot of men are struggling. A lot of men struggle because they have, unfortunately, uh, I would say 50% by themselves and 50% because of the stigma. They have put themselves in a box. They have literally drove themselves to a corner. So how do
Hmm.
what advice do you have for young men as well, as to dealing with their emotions, dealing with their anxieties, dealing with their triggers? Like, what would you, if you have like a one, two step, three-step plan or a blueprint or anything that you would like to share for any men who's trying to achieve something great in their life, or just to live a normal life?
So, the very first thing, Anas, that I truly believe is important for any person, regardless of their gender, is to be themselves, and to accept who we are. You have to, like we were talking
Hmm.
about our privilege, we feel that privilege because we do accept our
Hmm.
financial status. We know that we can afford
Hmm.
this XYZ lifestyle. We know that we can afford this or that. We have accepted our financial lifestyle. We're very proud of it. People love to brag about it. People love, talking about it. Oh, yesterday I got this for myself. I got this for myself. Why don't we accept us emotionally? Is my question to everybody who's watching this show. To everyone who's out there who can hear my voice right now, ask this question to yourself. Ask that what stops you? What is the barrier? Is it the fear of judgment? But aren't people gonna judge you anyway? Whether or not try to be emotionally vulnerable, or you try to be emotionally open, are people not going to judge you for being so stiff. Maybe there are some people out there who are literally going to tell you that, oh, how whatever you're doing, this is not the right way. No, this is not how that works. But are you always going to be a people pleaser? Are you going to lead your life how people want you to lead, or do you want to live your life how you want to lead it and live it? So, in order to make that happen, you have to, the very first step is acceptance and acknowledgement of yourself, of your being. You are an individual who has emotions, who will worry about 10 things in a row, who will worry about, getting good grades, getting a good job, finding
Hmm.
a happiness, finding a good lifestyle, keeping everything intact. You will always struggle with that. But how will you overcome it if you do not accept it? How will you overcome it if you do not have the ability to acknowledge, okay, these are my tangled knots in my head, and in order to detangle them, in order I need to
Hmm.
declutter.
Unlearn.
And and I'm yes, exactly, you have to unlearn a few things in order to relearn, because in our society there is, like, very common practices of toxic masculinity that tells you that you as a person, or you as a man, no, you cannot cry, no, you cannot be emotionally vulnerable, because men don't cry, men don't do this. And that has created a very toxic, a very disturbing image in any
I
man's
think,
head. I have to be in a certain way. Otherwise, my boys
yeah,
are gonna make fun of me. I can't be like with
That's
my
and
true.
that
boys in that
affects
way.
people around you in a lot of ways, and that's why we see so much friction. Even with
Exactly.
men
This
and
is
women as well,
truly
right? Men
sad.
can't cry with men, so like they somehow sort of take out that frustration on women in different ways. I don't know, but I just wanted to add on that self acceptance bit.
Yes,
I think
yes,
what you
yes.
said is absolutely accurate. Self acceptance solves a lot of problems that exist in the society, and that brings you love to yourself, that brings you self love, that brings you self confidence, and we've discussed this countless times in our podcast as well. But I also think, obviously, to accept yourself, people don't even know who they truly are. Their perception of themselves is this perception of what other people think who they are. Like, there's this very beautiful quote that I want to say. I can't remember who's it by, but it goes like, I don't think I am what I am. I don't think you think what I am. I think what you think. No, I think what you
Yeah.
think I think I am. I don't know if that makes sense. But my perception of me is how I think you
Yeah.
think of me,
I am, therefore
right?
I
So
am.
and that's my basically identity. If you haven't put in the work to find yourself, remove the 25, 20, whatever your age is, that many years of conditioning, going down deep within your soul, connecting with your inner voice, and really finding out what this individual is and accepting that and living life from that, which is, then you learn to appreciate everything, right? So I think this requires
Yes,
work though,
yes,
and
Yeah,
the first,
the work, I think
it does.
there are two things. Like,
But that also gives you that
yeah,
quality of life, right? You need to know yourself in order to know others.
of
Sorry, I'm
course,
just gonna
please.
mention one thing here. um, uh, so there is this book, I read it like some time ago.
hmm,
Emotional
Uh,
intelligence 1.0, emotional intelligence 2.0. So there is a cycle they have explained, that I guess it's written by Daniel something. So he's explained the cycle that in order to be socially aware, you need to be
hmm,
self-aware, and in order to be socially responsible, you
that
need to
makes a
be
lot of sense.
self-responsible. So if you can never know yourself, if you cannot know what your deal is, or what you like, what you don't like, what are your areas of improvement, because as Nietzsche said, that a human being is never a
yes,
finished product. I don't like Nietzsche. I'm not his fan. I'm not gonna
You
talk
don't
about him,
like
but I'm
this
just gonna
theory on Uberman?
mention. I, I guess he was just a
Of course,
misogynist,
yes, he was.
and he wasn't. I don't quite agree with his philosophy on feminism and all. But what I do agree is this statement that a human being is never a finished product, because a human being is always and constantly evolving
Hmm.
and revolving into a better and a or
Yeah.
maybe a worse version of themselves, because growth
Yes.
can be both
100%.
sided, right?
100%.
Growth can be
Momentum.
towards,
Momentum. Yeah.
towards the good
And
part.
you know the
Yeah,
best
exactly. So you imagine your life as a
the best part
pendulum.
about like having this podcast with Parmeet, it's that we were talking about this because just imagine like years on year, and we can have you again as well, in the future. So just like going back to those
Sure,
episodes
sure.
and seeing, like, even right now it's been what, 4 months now. So if we go back to the first episode and see like an episode right now, there's just so much that both him and I have learned, that there's just so many things that we picked up on, and there's just so many ideas that have built upon and built upon. Continuing with
Yeah,
what you guys said about being self-aware and accepting who you are, I believe there are two things, and this is what I picked up from Parmeet. Is one thing is journaling. Once you start writing those things down, and once you start identifying again, whatever could be your triggers, whatever that makes you happy, that makes you sad, or your thoughts or your reflections, or however, whatever happened to your day, whatever happened to your time. I guess you want to say something.
Yeah, I was saying journal is amazing and one should do that, but you wouldn't know what your triggers are, what the problems are, what's good, what's bad without awareness. If I were to start journaling without the practice I had taken up, whatever practice that may
Yes.
be, to become more self-aware, I wouldn't. That's why people can't get around to journaling much, because they don't know what to write about, and this is what the struggle I had as well. So the most fundamental would be to be more self-aware, and how you can do that is through meditation, and that can come in many forms. Even working out is a form of meditation, in my opinion. That's how I see it,
No,
right?
that's
So practicing.
no, that's true, and this is what I was also coming at. Like, both of these things. The second thing, and this is what I do, and I try to do this daily in my life, is having those conversations with yourself. Just
Hmm.
walking and having those conversations, because sometimes just
Yeah.
giving yourself questions to answer, sometimes
Hmm.
like those in itself provide a lot of answers. And what I do is, for example, if I stumble upon a discovery, like a eureka moment, I just quickly write them down on my notes. So I just quickly write them down, like a basic idea of something that I've discovered about myself, like you said, being self-aware. Like, just a thought that has crossed my mind, like, oh, if you put this to the equation, or if you expand on this, or if you write about this, or if you talk about this with someone, then maybe you're able to identify yourself. That has helped me in accepting who I am, and accepting the things that I struggle with accepting, I guess. One of them being, again, I would call myself also as one of those toxic males who didn't used to partake in these things. And that is why actually I went towards that seminar that we did in IOBM, because I saw a lot of friends struggling with those things, both men and women. And I also used to struggle with it, but I used to brush it off. So having those conversations with yourself, and then using journaling, and like Pramit said, meditation. I mean, again, working out, swimming, running could be there. So many
Mindfulness.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any
every day
form of
I'm
mindfulness.
yeah, every day I'm learning from this guy as well, and the other guests that come in as well, and that has personally helped me in my journey as well. I take it as like, because so many people are at my level, which is like at the beginner level of this thing, of your journey towards mindfulness and self-awareness. So yeah, these two things, if people can incorporate it, I believe a lot of answers, questions can be answered.
Yeah. I would also say that. Yeah,
And
you go
also,
for it.
I would like to add one more thing to that. I completely agree with what you guys are saying. I guess meditation helps a lot, working out, or you see, or for in my case, I cooking
It's a
helps me
form
as
of
well.
meditation.
Cleaning
I'm a
for
big
me,
foodie. I
cleaning for me. I
exactly. I'm
clean,
a
I clean the house.
cleaning, cleaning my bookshelf for me. That's great. So see, different things work
Yeah.
for everyone, for because we're different people. So what works for me
Exactly.
might not work for you. Some people might not be into, working out or gymming or
For sure.
swimming or, having that sort of, be more, mindful of their, physical fitness or so. But some people are into that. And then some people
Hmm.
are into reading, so I read as well. And I'm like an avid reader. I love to
Amazing.
read. I literally have this habit of being so anxious and curious that I have finished like a
Oh
book in
Wow.
wow.
3 days, in
We
Wow.
2 days.
we need to have that power. That
That
is
is
just
just
a
me.
amazing power.
That, but that is like, I'll tell you, that's not entirely healthy, because you just get too involved in the book and then you're just turning the pages. Okay, what
Hmm.
happens now? What happens now? I used to do that a lot before, but now I've just, made myself calmer, that it's okay. A book is right here. You can like read it slow and gradually while you're making, while the book is speaking to you, when you're like
Yeah.
able to make sense out of it. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that there's, different things work for different people. Some people, just like to, I don't know, maybe scroll and, spend time with themselves. Some people would just like to cook. Some people would just like to listen
Hmm.
to some music. And I don't know, different things, spending time with their pet. I spend a lot of time with my cat, so that my cat is like, like more very therapeutic, the only therapeutic person in my house that helps me
No, definitely
calm me
agreed.
down.
Like we've said this before on this podcast as well, that there's no one practice that would work for everyone. So find what works for you. And there's plenty of
Exactly.
practice. That's why there's not just one meditation or breathing technique. There's hundreds and hundreds of techniques. And some people
Exactly.
rave about one more than the other because that's what worked for them. The end goal always remains the same. We keep
Yeah.
clarifying this. The end goal is the
Yeah.
same, being more self aware. How you get there, that's up to you. Find, explore, experiment, and then express in your own way. The meditation I always refer to is
Yeah.
people look think of it as the conventional way of meditation, just sitting cross-legged and just breathing. My definition for
Yeah.
meditation is if you're doing something and you're fully involved in just doing what that thing is. Let's say you're walking to the grocery store and you're just fully involved in while walking as well. You're just fully involved in walking to the grocery store. You're not thinking about what you're gonna buy, what you're gonna cook
Yeah.
for dinner, what work you have tomorrow. uh, you're just involved in that. The whole purpose of your life in that moment becomes to walk to that grocery store. So mindfulness can be practiced in any activity, and any activity that forces you to be in the present moment and avoid the anxiety and fear of the future and anxiety from the past. That's meditation. When you're cooking as well, you're just cooking, you're involved in that. There is absence of thoughts. You're so it's like you're alive, you're in the present moment. You see life as what it is instead of just living another life in your brain while
Yeah.
doing something in reality. So that's what
Yeah.
It's
mindfulness is.
actually very necessary in this day and age with the constant bombardment of information and things, and how fast our life is
Mm.
just so important. Like, because all three of us, I can say safely, we have so much going on, not apart from our professional life, social life, and extra things that we're doing. So we always have like a fully stacked schedule. And Parmeet, like, I again refer back to the book, that his favorite book is Power of Now. I don't know if it's still the favorite, but I haven't read it, but I get the gist of it, that it's just so important. And because of him, and because of Marcus Aurelius, again, because he also says that do everything as if it's the last thing that you're going to do. Like, right now, I'm trying, yeah, like,
Live your
I'm trying
100%.
right now, to basically do this podcast as the last podcast that I will ever do in my entire life, to give the full attention, to give the full energy, and to execute it as perfectly as I can. I don't know how many
Yeah.
I will be able to do it, or if this actually will be the last, but like Parmi said, if you are going to the grocery store, do it like as if that's the last time your mom asked you to go to the grocery store, and get some vegetables or anything, and that will result in a very fulfilled life, in a lot of
Yeah.
tasks that you're doing, a lot of actions that you're trying to accomplish. Those will be done at a very high quality sort of a rate, rather than just like, like sometimes, because this actually happened, and it have happened to me when I was a kid. I used to go to the store. My mom asked me to get 10 things. I got 8. I forgot the two, because I was probably thinking about, oh, I have to do this with my friends, or I have to go out and this and that. So again,
Yeah.
with everything, a very, very childish, very trivial example, but yeah, like Pramit said, having that mindfulness is just so important, even if you're reading a book or going to the grocery store.
And like we live so much in our future.
That's true. I,
Oh,
I, you know,
go on,
one more.
sorry. Sorry.
No,
I
no,
was
it's
just
okay. You
saying,
can
like, we live
continue.
so much in the future or the past, like, we're always thinking about what happened in the past, or always making plans in the future.
Yeah, we're not in
Eventually,
the moment.
you know, when we're at our deathbed, we realize that we haven't even lived and we weren't even present. Uh, I just wanna, this has been amazing. And before we conclude, I wanna quickly ask you if you could, and I was just curious to know about this because I didn't think we touch on this. If you were to tell us in like 10, 15 words what First Hand Foundation does, so that's first.
First and Foundation does. So First and Foundation, we have a lot of things initially when we started because I started
Yeah,
single-handedly. So I was telling you how my dad wasn't here and I used to talk to him. We used to chit chat and then I asked him, okay, so I think I would want to join an NGO and I would like to give something back to the society. And he's like, wow, really? Said, yeah. So he's like, okay, what do you want to do with that? I said, no, I want to do something, good. I didn't have any better word. I just said, I just want to do good. And he's like, okay, so why don't you have something of your own? Because back in the
yeah,
times, I guess the NGOs were, it wasn't easy to join an NGO. There were a lot of transparency issues going on, some legal issues going on. A lot of NGOs that weren't operational were being shut down, and a lot of and some of the because there's when you say this word an NGO, there are tons of
yeah,
questions
yeah.
that come. Is it transparent? Is it funding
Now it's
terrorism?
a
Is it
front
funding this?
for,
Is it
in
funding
our
that?
modern
That?
society, it's a front for money smuggling or, yeah, laundering.
Yeah. So, a lot of
Yeah,
things are being, what do you say, used as a
yeah,
bad platform and, exploited in a way that you're kind of, killing
yeah.
the rights
So,
or the purpose of its formation. So back in the times, I wasn't clear of my vision either. To be very frank, I wasn't sure that okay, this is one thing that I have to work on, or this is one thing that I have to work on. What I did is that after I spoke to my dad, I was so fully motivated. What I did, I collected like a few
hmm,
donations, for Children Cancer Hospital, and it wasn't a lot. I remember it was probably like
That is
yeah,
more
five
than
thousand
enough.
rupee. Was literally like a that was like a really small chunk. And so I went to the Children Cancer Hospital. I donated the amount, and I spent some time with
amazing.
the kids. And after I came back, I remember I cried. And I cried because I was like, what is going on? What is wrong with them? So it was just me dealing with so many emotions at one time, and I was so confused. Okay, so like, what are people actually doing here? I mean, if people are so much in pain, why is nobody helping them? So I was like, okay, no, this is something that maybe I can start doing this, and I can see like there are some other NGOs, some other people. So there
Yeah,
is good out there, people are doing work, but it's just not acknowledged enough or so. But at the same time, you're not doing it for applause. You're not a clown. You don't want 10 people to clap
you're
for
doing
you.
it
Okay,
because you
okay, yeah,
want
good
to.
job. You're doing
Yeah,
it for others. Exactly, you're doing it for others, and you're doing it
yeah,
because you want to do it, right? So it's a very selfless. service that you freely provide to this world, that you freely give out to this world. And you're only able to do it when you A, accept your own privilege, B, you empathize with others, you try to be in the shoes of other person and actually feel his or her pain. And C, when you feel like that there is still some area of improvement in the society and you can still put something good out there, and that will accumulatively produce a huge and better impact in a society
So are
overall.
you
So that was the idea. And while, and then after that, after a few months, what I would do, I would collect like a few clothes, more donations, and then I would go and donate to
hmm.
Darul Sukoon or other small, NGOs or already established ones. So I started with that. And, I would post about it on social media that, hey, I'm going here and I'm going there. If anybody wants to help in this way or wants to
So this was
contribute,
11 years
then
ago.
please, APA.
So
This was 11
what
years
about
ago, but
today?
that was the very
How
first
what are
book.
you doing today? Just to get that clarity, like.
So today, the agenda of First Hand Foundation is to
Mm-hmm.
work on three things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
A, education. B,
Mm-hmm.
unemployment, providing people the a more sustainable project, something that is going to help
Correct.
them in long run. For example, giving them like a small food stall or
Yeah,
a
yeah.
rickshaw or something that is going to be helpful for them in the long run,
Sustainable.
not just for a month or
Sustainable.
two.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the third?
Sustainable, exactly. And the third one is
Wow.
awareness,
That's beautiful.
and awareness
That's
regarding
beautiful.
various topics.
That's
So these
beautiful.
are the basic
And then I
three
also
agendas
wanted to
that we
ask
work
you
on.
very briefly,
And
because you are an avid reader, would you want to recommend three of your favorite books, three books that you would recommend to people in the realm of personal development, self-help, mental health?
okay, I guess the very first book that I always recommend people is Emotional
Okay,
Intelligence.
Okay.
we got
And
that.
second,
So so that is extremely essential because you will be able to connect with your own emotions, your deeper emotions, and you'll be able to have that sense of
yeah,
self actualization that is important for everyone. And after that, I guess, comes acceptance. Like
yes,
we have been talking about
Yes.
acceptance, acknowledgement, this, and that. So it comes later
that
once you have
intelligence, yeah.
to know
So
And
that.
I'm
that's
sure
one.
And
it talks about
exactly.
frameworks as well as to how to achieve that.
Exactly, exactly, it does. So it's a brilliant book. It's one of my favorite books. It's not full of stories or it's no fun and games. It's completely theoretical, but you need to know that theory in order to implement it in
Okay.
your real life. And second thing that I recommend is The Subtle Art of
Okay,
Okay.
Not
nice.
Giving a
Mark
Fuck.
Mason,
I
Mark Manson, Mark Manson.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
he
yeah,
has like
Mark Man.
videos on YouTube now. He does like 10,
So
15 minute videos on YouTube, which are like a summary of, so somebody doesn't want to read
really.
the book, his YouTube videos are quite nice, like really nice. And they've got a fun, witty
Oh wow, I didn't
energy
know
to it.
this. I'll definitely
Okay, so
watch
that's
it.
two, subtle art of not giving
No, I'll
an emotional intelligence. And the third one,
definitely. And the third one, I guess, also I'm really not into that one of those books. I feel that they're like quite unreal. Wake up 5 a.m. in the morning, do this, do that. I'm not gonna name that book. But if you are a reader, you will know where I'm going. So, other than all of these, there is like a very um, a real fiction book. It's quite famous. Um, the 40 Rules of
Oh,
Love.
okay. This is by the um yeah,
Elif
this is
Shafak.
this
She's I guess Turkish or an
yeah, and this
Armenian
is this
both.
is actually quite famous. I've heard a lot of both men and women talk about this, and it yeah, like
It's
tell us a
a
little
great book.
about it, like Yane, like what can a person expect to find in 40 Rules of Love? Is
So
it
if you're into
yeah,
spirituality,
okay.
you will love this book. if you're into, we were talking
Right.
about meditation and how to, work around things and all. So I guess this book has actually given me some sort of perspective. So they don't talk about by the title of it, people usually think that, oh, there are going to be 40
Yeah,
rules and it's like maybe a rom-com or something like that. No,
it's
it's
sort of like
nothing like that. So in this book, they
like you
actually,
follow a character, and since it's a fiction book.
yes, it's based on the life of
Yes,
Rumi
yes, I
Hmm.
and
was
Shams
about,
Tabrizi.
yeah, yes,
So
Rumi.
these both were,
Interesting.
yeah. So Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi is known as a very, good
Hmm.
scholar of his time, an extremely learned person. He was way ahead of his time, and so was Shams Tabrizi. They were like way ahead of their times. They were like speaking. I mean, imagine back in the times they were in Konya and in Tabriz, in like
Wow.
Istanbul. They're talking about no judgments, don't question anyone's character, even if you see them doing any XYZ thing, because you do not know that how that person is from the inside, what relation they have or they carry with their creator, no matter what religion they belong to, no matter what caste they belong to, no matter what differences they have with each other, because these differences are the ones that are beautiful and they should connect us. The
No,
very
these
that
sound
I
like
find that
amazing
extremely beautiful.
recommendations, to be very
Um,
honest. And just imagine, like, these guys lived so many hundreds of years ago,
yeah,
and to still to this day, you're carrying forward their ideas and you're talking about them. So I think that's beautiful. Speaking about love, look at Parmeet's background. It
yes.
changed from
It's
day.
purple.
It's amazing. It looks like the background, like listen to what you're saying and took up its color.
See, the
Yeah,
Even I
yeah,
university
am
because
so
already giving
blessed.
you a
yeah,
sign for me. You
because
need to
like
read this book.
we started like when it was like pure day, and like
Sunny,
right
yeah.
now, and it's like the
Sunset.
perfect, and it's like a perfect ending to this
Yeah.
episode as well. And I
Yeah.
think I learned so much from both of you. So amazing.
Yeah. With this one question before we go, we
Likewise,
ask
likewise. I
everyone
think I've.
very
Yeah.
briefly, what does success mean for you? If you were to summarize it like,
Hmm. Oh, success. This is an interesting one because
that's why
everybody
we're
has a
asking.
different definition of
Yes.
success. I so I guess so. See, something that I have learned from my dad, that greatness of a man, it doesn't come from how
Mm,
much your
yeah.
account balances or the amount of money you have or your financial status or how you look like. It really doesn't matter. The greatness of a man lies in his character, and your character has to be strong. Your
True,
character has to be
100%.
truthful. You have to be someone
Very
who
true.
stands with the truth. You have to be someone who does not
Hmm.
discriminate. You have to be, because you see, under this skin we got the
Yeah.
same sort of
Same
flesh,
organs, same
right?
heart.
We are I same organs, same heart, and everything. So I guess when you achieve that level of greatness in your character, that is the true success. The true success for maybe some person, achieving any XYZ goal, having this many dollars in your bank
Yeah.
account, visiting all these places in your lifetime. At some point maybe
I.
I just wanted to have all these fun and games as well, but now I feel like life is very precious. It's extremely precious. We take everything for granted. We take our home for granted. We take our friends for granted. We are not
Hmm.
grateful about it. We don't think about these things often, and we're just constantly nagging and whining. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
have this. I don't have that. Of course, you cannot get everything in life. You're not in a mall, and this is not like a place where you're just ordering, okay, get me that. It's not like a charity shop for you either. Life is a struggle. Life is full of challenges, and these challenges are something that they shape you, they make you, they
Develop your
break you.
character.
But then again,
Beautiful.
what
I think you've hit the nail in the
exactly?
head.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of answers. This is the first time I've heard that a man's success lies in his character,
Character.
and which is very profound if people understand it.
It does.
Uh,
It does.
and I do agree somewhat. I have different wordings
Because
for it,
you
but
see,
I definitely do
yeah.
agree with it. Unfortunately, this always happens that we run out of time and
So
there's
many
so
things.
much
I
we're
had so many
gonna.
questions. I had so many questions. Nothing like we couldn't touch on
Yeah,
anything, and this paves a path for another future episode, maybe. If
yeah.
you,
And so, yeah. Sorry to rush
Absolutely.
you as well here and there. It's just we're constrained by time, but that's
yeah.
all. But it was lovely, lovely, lovely chatting
No,
with you.
that's completely fine. It was so nice to talk to you guys. I felt like that I've had a really good conversation after a
Likewise.
really long time because you're always stuck between you're at home, then you're at work, then it's work, work, work. So you get so drained, and I guess we barely get time to
Wholesome.
have
Yeah.
these sort of
This is
healthy
something some of our
conversations
other
that
guests have
are
also
essential.
said. Like they feel so happy after this. Like it leaves them with such a positive charge. And for me and Premi, this is how all. Yeah.
No, you guys have that energy. You guys need to know this that both of you have that sort of
Thank you so
energy.
much.
You guys are doing a brilliant job, honestly, because see, you guys are making an impact. You guys are talking about things that matter, and this is the very
Yes.
first step. And you talking about, I don't know, I was checking your Instagram page and there was like something about happiness, about
I
accountability,
think.
and these are the things that manifest towards a
Yeah.
great character itself. So whatever you guys are doing, I can kudos to you and your
We
parents.
genuinely appreciate that. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
And it takes one to know one, is all I want to say. So, yeah, I think we'll conclude it here. Thank you so much for joining us. And lastly, I just want to thank our community as well who come watch us, stick by us, give us so much love and support. We truly appreciate it. So, keep doing that, and we'll keep bringing you these wholesome conversations. Uh, and yeah, keep watching, keep listening.
Thank you so much for
And
having
thank
me.
you again, Hira, and everyone else. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you,
Of
Anas,
course.
and for me,
Thank
it's
you so
been a
much. Ciao,
pleasure.
guys.